Have you ever found yourself clinging to a relationship or friendship not because it nurtures you, but because it's familiar, a safe, known comfort in a world full of uncertainty? Deep down, you might sense it's holding you back, that it's quietly stalling your growth, draining your energy, or dimming the light within you that once burned so brightly. It's a difficult truth to confront, that the very people we've laughed with, cried with, built memories alongside, may not be meant to journey with us forever. Yet this is precisely where the timeless wisdom of Stoicism becomes our guiding light. The Stoics, with their profound insights into human nature and the pursuit of virtue, remind us that real personal growth often requires hard choices about who we allow into our lives. Seneca spoke often of the importance of continuous self-improvement, of becoming better, wiser, stronger with each passing day, and how that journey can be hindered by the company we keep. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that while we cannot control others or external events, we are always in control of how we respond. And sometimes, the most empowered response is to step away from what no longer serves our peace. Epictetus, too, warned that no one is truly free who is not the master of themselves. And how can we be masters of our lives if someone else is constantly pulling our strings, dictating our choices, or making us feel less than worthy? Relationships rooted in control, manipulation, emotional volatility, or a lack of mutual respect aren't just challenging. They're misaligned with the Stoic path of virtue, wisdom, and tranquility. A true connection should feel like solid ground beneath your feet, not quicksand pulling you under. It should offer support, not suffocation. Clarity, not chaos. When you're constantly walking on eggshells, second-guessing yourself, feeling more drained than energized, it's time to ask, is this helping me become who I want to be, or is it slowly pulling me away from that vision? The Stoics weren't cold or heartless. They understood love, friendship, and community, but they also understood that not every bond is meant to last, and that peace, virtue, and freedom must sometimes come at the cost of letting go. Letting go doesn't mean failure, nor does it make someone a villain in your story. It means you've grown, you've awakened, and now you must walk a different path, one that aligns with your highest self. So if you find yourself in a relationship that undermines your worth, stifles your voice, or leaves you feeling small, know this: you are not wrong for wanting more. You are not selfish for choosing peace. You are simply stepping into the life the Stoics believed we all deserve, a life of intention, clarity, and freedom, built not on what is easy, but on what is right. Missing. Then what's left? You're left with a relationship that's hollow, unfulfilling, and frankly not worth your time and emotional investment. Now I can almost hear some of you saying, but what if it's not that simple? What if I really care about this person? And that's a fair point. Relationships are complex and emotions are powerful, but here's where the wisdom of Stoicism can guide us. The Stoics were all about clarity, rationality, and living in alignment with our highest values. They would encourage us to take a step back and assess our relationships through this lens. Are we being true to ourselves by staying in a situation where we're not respected? Are we honoring our inherent worth and the virtues we strive to live by? If the answer is no, then it might be time for a serious reassessment. This doesn't necessarily mean cutting someone out of your life with cold precision. Instead, it's about recognizing your own value and making decisions that reflect that. It might mean setting clearer boundaries, having a heart-to-heart conversation about how you're feeling, or in some cases, acknowledging that it's time to move on. Remember, respecting yourself, identifying harmful relationship dynamics, and insisting on being treated with respect by others is not selfish or demanding. It's a reflection of the self-worth that the Stoics believed each of us should cultivate. It's about living with integrity and ensuring that your relationships reflect the respect and virtue you strive for in your own life. So if you're dealing with a lack of mutual respect, take a moment to reflect on what that means for you and your well-being. Consider how you can address this issue in a way that honors your dignity and values, because at the end of the day, every one of us deserves to be in relationships where we're treated with the respect and consideration we'd give in return. Let's strive to cultivate connections that are rooted in mutual respect, where each person is valued and appreciated for who they are. That's the kind of relationship that not only survives, but thrives, reflecting the best of what it means to live a life grounded in Stoic wisdom and virtue, feeling tethered to illusions rather than reality. Stoicism, at its heart, is about acceptance, accepting the reality of our lives, our relationships, and the world around us, not as we wish them to be, but as they truly are. The Stoics, with their pragmatic and grounded approach to life, teach us that there's profound strength and freedom in seeing things clearly, without the rose-colored glasses that illusions often provide. So what does this mean for our relationships? Well, it means taking a hard, honest look at them and asking ourselves whether they're rooted in reality, or if we're holding on to a fantasy. Are we ignoring red flags, glossing over issues, or painting a picture of someone that doesn't quite match up with who they really are? If so, we are not doing ourselves or our partners any favors. Being tethered to illusions in a relationship can feel like being stuck in a mirage from a distance. Everything looks perfect, but as you get closer, you realize it's just an illusion, lacking substance and truth. This isn't to say that hope and aspirations have no place in relationships. They do. But there's a fine line between healthy aspirations and losing ourselves in fantasies that detract from our ability to engage with the genuine nature of our connections. Embracing the truth, as the Stoics would advise, is about confronting these illusions head-on. It's about having the courage to recognize and accept the reality of our relationships, even when it's uncomfortable or painful. This is no easy task. It requires a level of honesty and vulnerability. That can be daunting, but there's incredible power in truth. It's the foundation upon which genuine, meaningful relationships are built. The process of embracing reality over illusion can be transformative. It might mean acknowledging that a relationship isn't what you thought it was, or that the person you're with isn't who you hoped they would be. This realization can be a bitter pill to swallow, but it's also a crucial step towards genuine growth and emotional freedom. It opens up the space for you to engage in relationships that are authentic, where you can love and be loved for who you truly are, not for the illusions you've constructed. So if you find yourself feeling tethered to illusions, take a moment to reflect what aspects of your relationship are real, and what parts have you embellished or imagined. How does this alignment or lack thereof with reality affect your happiness and well-being? Remember, Stoicism isn't about pessimism or resigning ourselves to unhappiness quite. The opposite. It's about finding peace and contentment by aligning ourselves with the truth of how things are. It teaches us that by accepting reality, we can navigate our lives and relationships with wisdom, clarity, and a sense of groundedness that illusions simply cannot provide. Let's challenge ourselves to look at our relationships through the lens of Stoic acceptance. Let's embrace the truth, however hard it may be, and in doing so, open ourselves up to the kind of genuine, fulfilling connections that enrich our lives in meaningful ways after all. In the clarity of truth, we find the path to real happiness and love. Compromising your values should never be on the table. These are the principles that guide us, the moral compass that directs our decisions, actions, and ultimately, our life's course. Now here's a question that might hit closer to home than we'd like. What happens when a relationship challenges those? The foundation of mutual respect, very values, when it asks you to compromise on what you hold dear. It's a tough scenario, but it's one that demands our attention, and you guessed it. Stoicism has some invaluable insights on this matter. The Stoics would argue that compromising our core values for the sake of a relationship is a price too high to pay. Why? Because our values are the essence of who we are. They shape our identity, influence our choices, and dictate how we interact with the world around us. To compromise on these is to lose a part of ourselves, and that's a loss. No relationship is worth being in a relationship that requires you to act in ways that contradict your values. Maybe it's small things at first, but over time these compromises start to add up, eroding your sense of self and the principles you live by. This isn't just about making sacrifices or compromises, which are normal parts of any healthy relationship. It's about betraying the very core of your being. The Stoics teach us that integrity and virtue are not just lofty ideals, but practical guides for living a good life. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. They all emphasize the importance of staying true to oneself, of living in alignment with one's values, no matter the external pressures or temptations. This alignment is what gives our lives meaning, direction, and a sense of purpose. So if you find yourself in a situation where a relationship is demanding you to betray your values, it's a clear signal to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this relationship serving my highest good? Is it allowing me to grow and thrive, or is it holding me back, asking me to be someone I'm not? It's not an easy situation to navigate, especially when emotions are involved. But here's where the Stoic practice of self-reflection and rational analysis can be your ally. By stepping back and assessing the relationship through the lens of your values, you can make decisions that are not only right for you, but that also honor the person you strive to be. And remember, walking away from a relationship that compromises your values isn't a sign of failure. It's a courageous act of self-respect. It's a declaration that you value yourself enough to only accept relationships that uplift you, respect you, and align with the essence of who you are. Let's challenge ourselves to live with the integrity and virtue the Stoics admired so much. Let's ensure that our relationships reflect and respect our values, not undermine them. Because at the end of the day, it's our adherence to these values that defines us, guides us through life's ups and downs, and leads us to true fulfillment. So keep your values close, cherish them, and never compromise on them for anyone or anything. In doing so, you'll not only honor the wisdom of the Stoics, but also pave the way for relationships that are genuine, meaningful, and truly enriching. When we talk about reciprocity, we're talking about the balance of give and take between people. It's about mutual support where both parties contribute to the relationship in equal measure. But what happens when this balance is off? When you find yourself in a one-sided relationship, constantly giving but rarely, if ever, receiving. It's a situation many of us have faced, and it's far from ideal. Reciprocity is not just a nice to have, it's key to the health and longevity of any relationship. Think about it. A relationship where one person is always the giver and the other always the receiver is fundamentally out of balance. It can lead to feelings of resentment, exhaustion, and underappreciation on the part of the giver, and dependency or entitlement on the part of the receiver. This imbalance undermines the very essence of what a healthy relationship should be. Now, the Stoics had a lot to say about the nature of relationships and the importance of mutual support. They believed in the value of contributing to the well-being of others, but not at the expense of one's own well-being. For the Stoics, the ideal relationship was one of harmony and mutual respect, where both individuals support each other in their pursuit of virtue and a good life. So if you're stuck in a one-sided relationship, it's worth taking a moment to reflect on the Stoic principles of balance and mutual respect. Are you respecting yourself by allowing this imbalance to continue? Are you respecting the other person by enabling a dynamic that doesn't? Reality versus illusions in relationships encourage their growth or contribution. Addressing this imbalance doesn't necessarily mean ending the relationship. Instead, it can be an opportunity for growth for both parties. It starts with communication, expressing your needs, setting boundaries, and discussing ways to bring more balance into the relationship. It's about encouraging and allowing the other person to contribute more, not just materially, but emotionally and spiritually as well. Healthy relationships are dynamic. They evolve over time. They require effort, compromise, and a willingness to adapt. But the foundation should always be one of reciprocity. Each person should feel valued, heard, and supported. It's this mutual support that builds trust, deepens connection, and fosters an environment where both individuals can thrive. Remember, seeking balance in your relationships is not selfish, it's necessary. It's about ensuring that you're not just giving but also receiving the support, love, and respect you deserve. It's about building relationships that are not just sustainable, but truly enriching for both parties. So let's strive to cultivate relationships where reciprocity is the norm, not the exception. Let's take to heart the Stoic ideals of balance and mutual respect, creating connections that uplift and support everyone involved. After all, in the give and take of life, we find the true essence of meaningful relationships. This is a hard subject to tackle, but it's crucial we talk about it. Abuse in any form, be it physical, emotional, verbal, or psychological, is a clear, unequivocal signal that it's time to leave the relationship. Stoicism, a philosophy deeply rooted in the principles of dignity, self-respect, and the value of the human spirit, unequivocally condemns any form of abuse. Such behavior not only violates the Stoic principles of respect for oneself and others, but also destroys the very foundation of Trust and safety that relationships should be built upon. Stoicism teaches us the importance of recognizing our inherent worth and insists on the necessity of maintaining our dignity and self-respect. These aren't just lofty ideals. They are practical guidelines meant to direct our actions and choices, especially in the face of adversity. When we find ourselves in situations where these fundamental principles are being violated, Stoicism urges us to take action not out of vengeance or anger, but out of respect for ourselves and the innate value of our well-being. Abuse tramples on dignity and self-respect. It seeks to diminish the victim's sense of self, to control and to instill fear. This is antithetical to everything Stoicism stands for. The Stoic response to such a situation is clear. Seeking help and exiting the relationship is not just important, it's necessary. It's a step that aligns with the Stoic commitment to living a life that is virtuous and dignified, one that respects the inherent worth of every individual. Starting with oneself. Exiting an abusive relationship is undoubtedly one of the most challenging decisions one might ever have to make. It requires immense courage, strength, and often support from others. This is where the Stoic practice of seeking wisdom from those who have faced similar challenges, or from professionals who can offer guidance and support, becomes invaluable. Seeking help, whether from friends, family, or professional services, is not a sign of weakness but of strength. It's an affirmation of one's worth and a commitment to living a life free from harm. Moreover, Stoicism doesn't just stop at advocating for the exit from abusive situations. It also emphasizes the process of healing and reclaiming one's dignity and self-respect after such experiences. It teaches us that while we may not have control over the actions of others, we have control over how we respond to those actions and how we move forward. The journey of healing from abuse is in many ways a Stoic journey. It's about reasserting control over one's inner world, reaffirming one's values, and rebuilding one's life in alignment with those values. Let's be clear, if you're in a situation where you're facing abuse, know that it's not your fault and you're not alone. Reaching out for help, leaning on the strength of those who support you. The non-negotiables, values, and reciprocity, and taking steps to leave such a situation behind are all actions that reflect the highest respect you can show yourself. They are steps towards a life where your dignity, your self-respect, and your well-being are prioritized as they should be in the spirit of Stoicism. Let's remember the importance of valuing ourselves, respecting our inherent worth, and taking decisive action to remove ourselves from harmful situations. Let's stand firm in our commitment to dignity, to self-respect, and to the pursuit of a life that is not just free from abuse, but rich in virtue and meaning. Failed communication can be a tough hurdle. What happens when communication within a relationship fails? When attempts to talk things out lead nowhere. Finding common ground feels like an insurmountable task, and mutual understanding seems like a distant dream. This isn't just a minor bump in the road. It's a red flag signaling deeper issues that need addressing, and you guessed it. Stoicism, with its timeless wisdom, has some guidance for us here too. Effective communication is the lifeblood of any thriving relationship. It's how we express our needs, share our thoughts, and connect with one another on a meaningful level. Without it, we're essentially navigating our relationships in the dark, guessing at what the other person is thinking or feeling, and likely getting it wrong. More often than not, the Stoics understood the value of clear, honest communication. They practiced it in their lives and encouraged it in their teachings, emphasizing the importance of listening, understanding, and responding with wisdom and empathy. So what do we do when communication breaks down? First, it's crucial to recognize that failed communication is often a symptom of underlying issues. It could be a lack of trust, unresolved resentments, or simply a difference in communication styles. Whatever the root cause, Stoicism teaches us to approach the problem with a clear head and a willing heart. It encourages us to look inward, examining our own role in the communication breakdown, and to strive for clarity and honesty in our interactions. Marcus Aurelius was a strong advocate for using reason and logic to navigate life's challenges. He would likely suggest that we apply these same tools to tackle communication issues. This means taking a step back, removing emotions from the equation as much as possible, and analyzing the situation objectively. Where is the communication failing? Why? What steps can be taken to improve it? Improving communication requires effort from all parties involved. It's about creating a safe space where each person feels heard and valued. It's about actively listening, not just waiting for your turn. to speak, but truly trying to understand the other person's perspective. It's about expressing yourself clearly and respectfully without accusations or assumptions. And perhaps most importantly, it's about having the patience and persistence to keep trying even when it feels like you're not making progress. Stoicism also reminds us of the importance of empathy and compassion in our communications. Remember, everyone has their struggles, fears, and insecurities. Sometimes what comes across as hostility or indifference is actually a defense mechanism. By approaching our communications with empathy, we open the door to deeper understanding and connection. Failed communication doesn't have to be the end of a relationship. Instead, it can be an opportunity for growth for both individuals and the relationship itself. It's a chance to learn more about each other, to develop better communication skills, and to build a stronger, more resilient bond. So if you find yourself facing communication challenges, take a moment to reflect on the Stoic principles of clarity, honesty, and empathy. Use these as your guide to navigate through the issues, and remember, the goal isn't just to talk more, but to communicate better in the richness of effective communication. We find the true essence of connection and understanding the very foundations upon which meaningful relationships are built. Picture this, a relationship that instead of being a source of peace and comfort, addressing abuse and failed communication feels more like a storm, constantly disturbing your inner calm and leaving you feeling unsettled. It's tough, isn't it? When the very connections that are supposed to enrich our lives end up costing us our peace of mind. This is a clear signal that it's time to pause and reflect on the role such a relationship plays in your life. Stoicism, a philosophy that has stood the test of centuries, places immense value on tranquility, teaching us to cultivate a state of inner calm that remains undisturbed. By external circumstances, the Stoics believe that peace of mind is not just a precious asset, it's essential for living a good life. They taught that we should strive to maintain our equanimity in the face of life's ups and downs, and this includes navigating our relationships with wisdom and discernment. So what do we do when a relationship consistently disrupts our tranquility? First and foremost, Stoicism encourages us to take a step back and examine the situation objectively. Ask yourself, why does this relationship disturb my peace? Is it the behavior of the other person, unresolved conflicts, or perhaps my own reactions and expectations that are at fault? This process of self-examination is crucial because it moves us from a place of emotional reaction to one of rational response. Once we've identified the source of the disturbance, the next step is to consider what can be changed. Can the issues be addressed through open and honest communication? Are there boundaries that need to be set or reinforced? Remember, Stoicism doesn't advocate for passive acceptance of all situations. While it teaches us to accept the things we cannot change, it also encourages us to take action where we can make a positive difference. However, if after careful consideration and effort, the relationship continues to be a source of turmoil, it may be time to question its place in your life. This isn't about giving up at the first sign of trouble or conflict. It's about recognizing when a relationship is fundamentally misaligned with your values and your pursuit of tranquility. The decision to distance oneself from a relationship that disturbs your peace is not to be taken lightly. It requires courage, honesty, and sometimes a willingness to let go for the sake of your own well-being. But remember, the Stoic goal is not to eliminate all sources of discomfort in our lives, but to cultivate an inner resilience that allows us to face challenges with equanimity. In the end, the relationships we choose to maintain should support our pursuit of tranquility, not undermine it. They should be sources of strength, growth, and joy, not constant unrest. So if you find yourself consistently disturbed by a relationship, consider it an opportunity to practice Stoic wisdom, reflect, evaluate, and choose the path that leads to peace. Let's strive to surround ourselves with people who contribute to our tranquility rather than detract from it. In doing so, we honor not just the Stoic teachings, but also our own journey towards a life of peace, purpose, and profound fulfillment. Remember, the quality of our lives is greatly influenced by the quality of our relationships. It's about finding balance, embracing truth, cultivating respect, and above all ensuring our connections enrich our lives without compromising our peace as we part ways. Today, I hope you carry with you the Stoic principles we've explored together. Let them be a beacon guiding you through the challenges and joys of your relationships, and remember, the pursuit of tranquility, virtue, and wisdom is a journey we're all on together. One step, one decision, one relationship at a time. If this conversation has sparked a desire, seeking tranquility and connections for more exploration, more understanding, and more growth, I invite you to dive deeper into our journey. Right on your screen, you'll see a playlist that will take you further into the world of Stoicism, its principles, and how they can be applied to every facet of your life. So go ahead, click on it, and let's continue to grow together, to challenge ourselves and to cultivate lives of profound meaning and joy. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, keep striving for that tranquility. Keep seeking wisdom, and remember, in the tapestry of life, we're all connected through our shared humanity and our quest for a good life.